It's that time of the week, folks. Yes, indeedy, when you're listening to On Air with Jezza, and I'm Jeremy Spake. It's great to be back with you. It's been a busy week in the news department, hasn't it? There's been so much going on in the UK and abroad. We're going to have a very, very fun world view a little bit later on in the show. But it is a bank holiday weekend, so what have you been up to? Well, I haven't done a real huge amount. I'm just looking forward to the rest of today, because after the show I'm going to be heading off to Chapel, which is on the Essex-Suffolk border, and it's home to the East Anglian Railway Museum, and I'm going there for a transport extravaganza. I'm not going to look, I'm going to exhibit. Yes, people are thinking, oh lordy lord, what does that entail? Well, I'm actually going to be taking my 1987 East German Trabant car. Oh, it's a wonderful little thing. I love that car. It's a Cold War icon. You may be familiar with it if you've ever seen pictures of East Berlin during the Cold War, or indeed when the Berlin Wall came down in November of 1989. There were lots and lots of Trabant cars pouring over the east to west German border, packed full of people and possessions. You probably recall them. They chuck out lots of smoke as they're travelling along, or they used to. Mine's a smokeless beauty, because the two-stroke oil that I have to put in there with the petrol does the job of taking away the smoke. And what a car she is. I'm really looking forward to being with everybody at the East Anglian Railway Museum. So if you're going to be there later on, do make sure you stop and say hello and ask a few questions about Trudy the Trabant. It'll make her very happy. She likes people talking about her. But anyway, it's time for us to get on with the show, and I'm pleased to say that lots and lots of you have gotten in touch with your requests for sounds, and there was a theme developing. Lots and lots of you wanted to hear music from the 1980s. What a decade. And I'm pleased to say we're responding, because this is the bank holiday 80s extravaganza. Shall we get on with it? Eyes down, here we go.
Mississippi, in the middle of a dry spell. Jimmy Ride
From 1989, it was, of course, Alana Miles with Black Velvet. What a tune to get us started. Well, as ever, I'll be on my soapbox today. We'll be looking at all of that news that's been going on in the UK and around the world. I'll also be chatting about what I've been watching on the Gogglebox. And of course, we've got a fantastic 80s music lineup for you. And this one's for my mum.
Gonna get up, gonna get up, gonna get up. Gonna get up, gonna get up, gonna get up. And time won't take my love away.
Right on Time from July 1989. I played that especially for my mum because she was a big Black Box fan back in the day, and I can recall her dancing to that particular track repeatedly, and probably developing arthritic hips at the time of doing it. She's in her 80s now, bless her, so I very much doubt she's been dancing to that while she's been listening, but hopefully everybody else enjoyed that sound as much as I'm sure she did. She'll certainly have been tapping her toes. I'll be checking later on to see what she thought of that for sure. Now, I did say at the top of the show, it's been a very, very busy week in the news department, hasn't it? Which means that for World View, this part of the show, I'm absolutely spoilt for choice, but I guess I can't really start this particular segment of the programme without mentioning, yes indeed, Rishi Sunak stepped out of 10 Downing Street on a very wet Wednesday to tell us that the country is going to a general election on July the 4th, American Independence Day, and just for the benefit of everybody, the day before my birthday. Yes, the 5th of July is my birthday, so I'm guessing I'm going to wake up on the 5th of July to a new government, and I very much suspect it won't be Rishi Sunak, despite the fact that he did say he was going to be fighting for every single vote. I've got some news for you, fella. You're probably going to have to. But it was quite good that he came out in the pouring rain to tell us what he's been up to and what we can expect in the next 40 odd days, slightly less than that now, isn't it? But I'm sure we're all going to become very, very fatigued by the whole business of the general election. But it is really important that we all actually take the pledge to vote, because if we don't, we end up with a very small minority of folk who can be bothered, that get out there, cast their vote, and then everybody else sits complaining. Well, you can only really complain if you've participated in the whole process. So I guess because there's lots and lots of folk who are a bit fed up with the way things are right now, we'll probably see a higher turnout at the ballot boxes than we have in previous years, but only time will tell, won't it? One thing that did make me laugh, I don't know if you saw any of the coverage on Wednesday when Rishi was busy telling us that we're about to go to a general election, all the time that the music in the background being blurted out by somebody close to Downing Street was, of course, the theme "Things Can Only Get Better," which was used in the 90s by the Labour Party. I thought that was a little bit unnecessary, but and I don't like either party, if I'm honest right now. I don't think either of them are doing a particularly good job. But what struck me as they were going around the country talking to the various political leaders about, okay, so what does this mean for you? We're entering a general election. Well, did you see the First Minister of Scotland, Mr. Sweeney? Well, he stood there and he basically turned around and said, yeah, okay, we're going to an election. This is all about Scotland. I want Scotland to vote appropriately, not bother with the Conservatives. But the bit that made me laugh and I thought was really churlish and totally unnecessary was that he turned around and said, this just shows, Rishi Sunak has come out, the Conservative Party, this government do not care about the people of Scotland because they've announced a general election whilst the schools are on holiday. Well, what on earth does that mean? Have people not heard of postal votes? You don't need to be in situ to be able to cast your vote. So I think Mr. Sweeney needs to probably just have a little think about that and retract what he said, because it was really churlish and unnecessary. Do you think? I mean, I love Scotland. I really do. But I kind of wonder, was that a necessary thing to say? It seemed a bit odd to me and a bit pointless. What else has been going on in the news? Because I don't want to talk too much about the election. We'll probably, as I say, be talking about that in the weeks to come. Well, one thing, of course, that started the week off was the news that the Iranian president, Mr. Raisi, had actually been killed in a helicopter crash whilst he was travelling along the Azerbaijan-Iran border. And I don't know about you, but I spent the best part of the week almost holding my breath, waiting to see whether or not there was going to be a conspiracy theory about the helicopter crash. Was there going to be a claim that the Israelis had done it? Because obviously tensions between Iran and Israel are again at an all-time high, thanks to the various things going on with the killing of an Iranian general in the embassy in Damascus in Syria. There was also the business of the kind of the drone attacks across both borders. So I did expect there to be an announcement by the Iranian government that the helicopter had actually been downed by somebody, but there hasn't been a great deal more news on it, and that's possibly because so much else has been filling the airwaves, because it has been a busy week, as I said. But I do kind of wonder whether or not we've actually gotten to hear the full story of the aircraft crash, and I will be keeping an eye out, as you do when you work in the industry. I'll be keeping my eye out for the accident investigation report, which will hopefully be published so that we can see whether or not there was a technical fault with the helicopter. I mean, a lot of people commented, because you may have seen that while he was travelling it was foggy, and helicopters, fog and mountains don't really mix too well together, even with all the wonderful technology that we've got nowadays on helicopters for terrain detection and anti-collision technology. But you know, fog, helicopters, mountains, don't take Einstein to work out that they're not good combinations, are they? So I guess we're going to hear some more about that later on, once the Iranians, with the help of all the various agencies that turned up, the Turkish were there to assist, the Azerbaijanis, I think, were giving some help. The Red Crescent was obviously very busy trying to recover the bodies, but I guess in time we'll find out a little bit more about what happened. But it does leave a little bit of a vacuum, I guess, and they don't have long to elect a new president. And I know that the supreme leader, the Ayatollah, has probably got an opinion on what that looks like. So we'll watch Iran with great interest. One thing that was in the news that really caught my eye, and it may have been one of those things that popped into the news and people didn't notice it happening, was the International Criminal Court have now issued, or are seeking to issue, arrest warrants for the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Now, I probably not pronounced that quite right. It's Yahya, something like that. Sinwar, the Hamas leader. Now, they've both been indicted with crimes against humanity, genocide and the like. The list is quite a long one. The chief prosecutor, Mr. Karim of the International Criminal Court in The Hague, has issued this desire to seek warrants for their arrests. And it kind of got me to thinking, okay, so the International Criminal Court now believes that there's sufficient evidence to issue warrants. And then I started thinking, right, so how effective has the International Criminal Court in The Hague really been? And when I look at the statistics, over the period of time since the court was established, really to deal with the business of Yugoslavia, I guess, there's been 46 arrest warrants issued, thanks to the cooperation from the various countries that are signatories to the treaty that established the International Criminal Court. Of the 46 arrest warrants, 21 people have been detained in the ICC detention centre and have appeared before the court. 17 people remain at large, and 7 cases or charges have been dropped on account of those individuals no longer being with us. They've expired or died. So those 7 cheated the ICC of their day in court, I guess. But it got me to wondering whether or not the International Criminal Court issuing an arrest warrant was going to make any difference to the situation between Israel and Palestine and Hamas more specifically. And the answer to that is probably not at all, because I don't know if any of you saw, Benjamin Netanyahu was absolutely foaming at the mouth and basically saying, we're not signatories to this, we don't actually acknowledge the authority of the International Criminal Court, and as far as we're concerned, Palestine's never getting its independence, so not entirely sure what you're playing at. I won't be making an appearance anywhere, no one's going to be arresting me. But it kind of started sending sort of shivers down my spine, if I'm honest, because this is the point in the debate where Benjamin Netanyahu should have been saying, okay, so maybe we need to be looking at a way in which we can get Hamas round the table, let's have a chat, let's try and stop the ongoing conflict, which makes me feel very sad, because I think we should be able to sit down and chat these things through. But Benjamin Netanyahu clearly shows no signs of wanting to do that, so I'm going to keep watching that with interest. It will be a brave state that decides to take on Benjamin Netanyahu and to exercise the warrant once it gets issued, if it gets issued. Although Joe Biden did say doesn't know what the ICC's playing at, need to tear the papers up, but I have a feeling that Mr. Karim, the chief prosecutor in the ICC, is going to stick to his guns, and good on him, I guess, because we need to be accountable for our actions. And clearly, both the leader of Hamas and the leader of Israel have got some questions to answer on behalf of the rest of us, because we'd like to know what's going on there. And they're not the only ones, are they? There are other people that need to be brought before the court to explain themselves. Elsewhere in the news, of course, we saw the ongoing NHS debacle around the blood situation, people dying, and that in itself is an absolute tragedy. And as the inquiry findings start to be shared with everybody, the outpouring from those that have lost loved ones to infected blood supplies that were part of a massive cover-up by the NHS. They're rightly very, very distressed, but pleased at the same time that the inquiry has found that there were an awful lot of shenanigans going on in the background, which is totally and utterly unacceptable. And of course, there seems to be a bit of an ongoing issue with people working in these institutions, keeping the truth at bay and making up their own versions of things, because of course the former CEO of the post office was back in the inquiry giving evidence, and that whole business with the Horizon computer system and sub-postmasters committing suicide, that in itself is yet another story, isn't it, that makes you wonder. Just very, very sad. A story that caught my eye this week involved Singapore Airlines. Their flight SQ321 was flying from London Heathrow to Singapore earlier in the week at 37,000 feet over Thailand. They encountered some severe air turbulence, which is basically a pocket of clear air turbulence that can't necessarily be detected on weather radar because it doesn't appear on them. It caused the aircraft to descend from 37,000 feet to 31,000 feet in a couple of minutes, and because passengers weren't wearing seatbelts, found themselves travelling fairly rapidly up towards the overhead lockers. I don't know if any of you saw the pictures that were posted by the various passengers through the news feeds, but there were great big holes in overhead lockers where people's heads had collided with them as the result of not wearing their seatbelts. Of the 211 passengers and 18 crew on board, 79 ended up needing hospitalisation and treatment. Sadly, one English gentleman who was a pensioner, he had a heart attack, potentially as the result of the situation, and sadly died, and my heart goes out to his family. But what a lot of people were saying to me during the week is this something that's happening more and more, because we seem to be seeing more reports of severe air turbulence. It's all to do with global warming and all of that stuff. Well, my answer to this is that these events are extremely rare, which is why they make the news without any shadow of a doubt. They're not a daily occurrence. Severe air turbulence can happen at any time and has been happening for many, many years. But thanks to the fact that we all carry mobile phones that are smart and can act like a television studio, we see the footage very, very quickly. It does make people very, very nervous, but I would stress that flying is still the safest form of public transport that we have. I would encourage every single person sitting in an aeroplane during the cruise, regardless of whether or not the seatbelt sign is illuminated, to wear their seatbelts. The Austrians have got this right, you know. They have a piece of legislation that requires anybody travelling on an Austrian registered passenger aircraft to be wearing their seatbelt at all times. And certainly my experience of Austrian Airlines has always been that they enforce it to make sure that you are wearing your seatbelt, because wearing a seatbelt will prevent you from flying up into the air in the unlikely event that severe air turbulence does affect your particular flight. But please don't let it put you off flying, because flying, as I say, is still our safest form of transport. Time now for a bit of music. Especially for Karen Swan there. Yes, New Order with Ceremony. Haven't heard that for ages, Karen. So thanks very much for getting in touch to request that particular track, which you tell me brings back lots and lots of happy memories. So hopefully that's done that for you just now. Now, if like Karen, you'd like me to play your favourite track, or you'd like something dedicated to a friend or a loved one, you know what to do. Send me an email to shows@jeremyspake.com telling me which track you'd like, why you'd like it, who it's for, and I'll do my very best to pop it into a future show. You can, of course, send us your request via the form on the contacts page of my website, jeremyspake.com. Hit the submit key and we'll do the rest. Now, what have you been watching this week on the Gogglebox? Have you managed to find some you time? I've been pretty busy with the team. We've been preparing the next episode of Boarding Now, my travel show that will be on YouTube from the 1st of June, which also happens to coincide with the start of my 80k challenge on behalf of Royal British Legion Industries, which I'll talk more about a little bit later on in the show. If you were listening last week, you'll know that I've embarking on an 80k challenge to raise funds for veterans, but more about that a little bit later on. So because we've been busy with Boarding Now, I've not had a lot of time to watch anything, but I managed to steal a couple of hours to watch Race for Glory, which popped up on Amazon Prime earlier in the week and tells the story of the 1983 World Rally Championship and the competition between Audi and Lancia to be the manufacturer's champion. Now, if you've not seen the film and you're not particularly interested in cars, I can hear you saying, well, why on earth does Jezza want to be talking about an old car film? Well, actually, this is a really good film that has cars in it, but it tells the story, in the words of IMDb, of David versus Goliath. So in the days of the 80's World Rally Championship, Audi pretty much ruled the roost. Their car, the Quattro, was a big winner, and in so much so that lots and lots of people were buying the car because it was such a great performer, especially with its four-wheel drive. And Lancia was kind of lagging behind a bit. So in 1983, the Lancia team chief of the rally team, Cesare Fiorio, he basically decided that he was going to give Audi a run for its money. So they designed a car that they hoped was going to be faster and therefore going to win them the World Rally Championship. And the film tells that story. It basically tells the story of Cesare basically going around recruiting the best driver, developing the best car, taking part in the various races around the world as part of the World Rally Championship. It's a really good film. If you like a story of David versus Goliath, and I always do like a bit of a story of the underdog without a shadow of a doubt, you'll find it worth a watch, even if you're not particularly interested in cars. It's really nicely shot. There's some original footage there of rallies that's been cut into the film seamlessly. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully you will too. Time now for some more music. requested for Mitch G there by his sister Helen. What is Love by Howard Jones. Apparently, Mitch, you look very much like Howard Jones back in 1983 when that track was released with your spiky hair and your blonde highlights. Well, I can let you all into a little secret. Back in 1983, I also had a spiky hairdo and wanted blonde highlights because it was all the rage at the time. And I remember mentioning this stupidly to my sister, and she said, "Oh, you don't need to worry about that. I can sort that out for you, fella. Leave it with me." Anyway, one afternoon, in a moment of skullduggery and giggling like hell we were, she said to me, "Come on, and I'll do this." It was after school, so we went to the bathroom and she did her worst, and she washed it all out and then started laughing her head off as I was sat there in the bathroom waiting to see the wondrous blonde highlights, only to discover that she'd given me a Soviet carrot coloured hair colour. Yeah, have you seen the old dears in the Soviet pictures who all had bright orange hair? Well, that was me. I had bright orange hair, albeit that it was still spiky, but it was bright orange. I looked like I'd been tangoed. Blimey O'Reilly. I don't need any more reminders of that, to be honest with you, but a great track. Thanks for requesting that, Helen, on behalf of Mitch. Hopefully he's enjoyed that. Hopefully he's got more hair than I have right now and can probably still sport a spiky Kajagoogoo stroke Howard Jones type look. It would be good if he could, because I certainly can't. Now, talking about my sister, I invited her to join me earlier in the week when I was filming in Colchester. We ended up in the castle, somewhere I'd not been for a long, long time, although Colchester is very close to where I live. I haven't been in the castle for about 30 years, and I was kind of motivated because they've got a special exhibition on at the moment, all to do with TV puppetry. You know, the likes of Stingray, Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet, Joe 90, all things I really, really enjoyed watching as a kid. And I am a big Gerry Anderson fan, so couldn't get there quick enough, to be honest with you. And we had an amazing few hours walking around the castle, lots of interactive things to do there. So you'll be able to see the fruits of our labours when you watch Boarding Now, that releases on the 1st of June, as I mentioned earlier. And my sister and I are there in Colchester giving it large. But the Gerry Anderson thing, it got me just reinvigorated about the whole business of 1960s stroke 70s TV puppetry. And so I checked out the Gerry Anderson website, discovered that they got lots of DVDs of the shows, and there was one in particular called The Secret Service, which I really wanted because the guy who is the main character in there, who was actually played by Stanley Unwin, who was the chap who used to speak like Gerbity-Gook. You remember those Gerbity-Gook things where he'd talk backwards and do flippity-jibbity things, and you'd kind of left wondering what on earth he was talking about. Well, he kind of made the main character Father Unwin, and it's just great stuff. So I'm going to be watching that later in the week when I get some time. But I've also been doing some training because I'm embarking on an 80k challenge on the 1st of June on behalf of Royal British Legion Industries. It is, of course, the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings on the 6th of June this year. And in keeping with the 80s theme that's running through the show, I do need to mention that I'm taking this challenge on. The 80 kilometres represents the 80 kilometre wide beachfront that the Allies landed on the 6th of June. And it's a really important challenge for me, partly because I'm doing it in honour of my late dad, who served in the Royal Navy for just over a quarter of a century, and would have been delighted that I was doing my very best to raise funds for the veterans who need help and support today, and RBLI gives that. If you'd like to learn more about my endeavours, if you visit jeremyspake.com, there's an 80k page there where you can discover what it's all about, and you can also make a donation if you want to encourage me to get on with it, because I've got to cover the 80k either walking, running. There's no chance of me running, as I mentioned last week. I don't do running, but I'll also be hopping onto my push bike. But to learn more, just visit the page. It'd be great to have your support, because every little helps.
understand why we can't just hold on to each other's hands. This time might be the last I fear, unless I make it all too clear. I need you so. Take what was wrong and make it right. Baby, it's all I know, that you're half of the flesh and blood that makes me whole. You're half of the flesh and blood that makes me whole. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So take these broken wings and learn to fly again. Learn to live so free. And when we hear the voices sing, the book of love will open up and let us in.
Two big sounds from the 1980s there, back to back. The first, especially for Ange Mac, was Broken Wings by Mr. Mister. Great name for a band, that, Mr. Mister, from June 1985. Followed by, of course, Michael Jackson with his hit Beat It from the Thriller album, which appeared in 1982, especially for Pauline Ferron. Now, do you remember doing that whole Michael Jackson back walking thing? I don't know, moonwalking, walking backwards, shuffling around. I was no good at that on account of the fact I've never really been very athletic, so I'm not a great dancer either, which is probably why I've never been asked to be on Strictly Come Dancing, but that's another story altogether, isn't it, hey? So what's been driving me mad this week? Well, in fairness, I think the thing that's driving me mad is kind of the whole pothole thing. I get a little bit excited about things that happen on our roads because they become more and more perilous every single day by the state of them, thanks to a lack of spending on the part of councils up and down the country because of budgetary constraints. And it's now getting so bad with the potholes that I don't know about you, but you're driving along and you're suddenly in the middle of the road, then you're practically mounting the curb to avoid great big potholes. But what's been surprising me and irritating me a bit this week has been the fact that councils are obviously finding budgets, or is it that because we're going into an election they're frantically trying to do good so that we vote appropriately? They are now filling in some of the potholes, and this is the bit that's been driving me slightly wild this week, because they're doing these repairs and they're so poor that they're almost breaking out within a day of them being completed. Have you seen this? Have you experienced it? You kind of been waiting ages and ages and ages for a blessed pothole to be filled near you on a road that you use frequently. They've done it, and you discover that 2 or 3 days later you go back and it's already breaking out. Well, certainly that's been my experience. There's been this enormous great pothole in a road not far from me where the entire road had actually sunk in one corner. And they had all these signs up, oh, don't worry, we're coming, we're going to sort it out, there'll be traffic control measures in place for the next couple of days, job will be good, and we'll come and put some jollop in the deck, and then you'll be laughing because the road will be back to normal. Well, they certainly turned up, they certainly blocked the road, they certainly had their flow control restrictions in place and were making traffic wait and dutifully while they did their bits and bobs, and they completed the task, took away their signs, went off merrily in the opposite direction. And it's literally been a week and a half since this work was done, and already all of the edges of this thing are breaking out. What a complete and utter waste of time. Seriously, Essex County Highways, who are responsible for this particular road, need to turn up and re-inspect it, because it just isn't good enough. And this isn't the only repair where this is happening. It's just infuriating. What is the point in trying to fill in the blessed thing if you're not going to do a proper job of it? And they have this method that I understand is called overbanding, which is when they've put down the repair, put tarmac down or asphalt, whatever it is they're going to put down on top of it, and they then have to put like a seal of tar around the kind of the join to basically overband it so it's got some extra protection. Well, there's absolutely no evidence of any overbanding in this particular lump in the road, and I suspect that within a very short period of time it'll turn into another dropped curb and another driving hazard. It drives me insane. I do wish we get to a state where the roads are much better. So we need, in all of this election nonsense, we need the politicians to focus on making Britain great again and focus on making Britain able to look after itself, in my humble opinion. We don't need any more potholes because it's damaging vehicles. It's causing insurance to go up through the roof. And, we've had enough of it. Britain, has it not? I know I have. I've had enough of potholes. Anyway, let's have some music to chill out to.
I don't wanna talk about things we've gone through, though it's hurting me. Now it's history. I played all my cards, and that's what you've done too. Nothing more to say, no more race to play. The winner takes it all, the loser standing small beside the victory. That's her destiny. I was in your arms, thinking I belonged there. I figured it made sense, building me a fence, building me a home, thinking I'd be strong there. But I was a fool, laying by the rules. The gods make wrong with ice, their minds as cold as ice. And someone way down here loses someone dear. The winner takes it all, the loser has to fall. It's simple and it's plain. Why should I complain? But tell me, does she kiss like I used to kiss you? Does it feel the same when she calls your name? Somewhere deep inside, you must know I miss you. But what can I say? Rules must be obeyed. The judges will decide, the likes of me abide. Spectators of the show always stay alone. The game is on again, a lover or a friend, a big thing or a small, the winner takes it all. I don't wanna talk if it makes you feel sad, and I understand. You've come to shake my hand. I apologize if it makes you feel bad, seeing me so tense, no self-confidence. But you see, the winner takes it all. The winner takes it
ABBA with The Winner Takes It All, especially for Maz Courtney, who is celebrating her 80th birthday this weekend. Loving that. You're having an 80th birthday, we're listening to 80s music, and I'm preparing for my 80k challenge on behalf of RBLI and the veterans. There's definitely an 80s fest theme going on here, folks, which is absolutely superb. I've really enjoyed playing your music today because it's brought back lots of very happy memories, albeit with the exception of the business of my hair being orange, but there we go. go. Them's the blows. I haven't got any hair anymore, so that's never likely to happen again. It has been an absolute pleasure. We've tried to make it an election-free zone. Had to mention it at the beginning, and I'm mentioning it at the end because we've got another few weeks for that palaver to unfold, haven't we? And we'll wake up on the 5th of July, which happens to be my birthday. Did I mention that it was my birthday on the 5th of July? To a new government of whichever colour it will be, and the rest will be down to whatever happens next. What I do know is going to happen next is I'm going to play you the final track of today, and we'll be back with you again next week to do this all again. So to play us out, Love Will Tear Us Apart. Have a good week. You've been listening to On Air with Jezza, produced by Jeremy Spake Productions. Don't forget you can now listen to the show every week for free on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, YouTube and Spotify. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you very soon.